On this AVNation special, we take a look at the SCN9. We're talking with 3 of the 9, talking about millennials and connecting on the Twitters. All that and more next on this AVNation special.
The network for the AV industry.
What are you listening to?
This
is AV.
This
is AVNation.
This is AVNation.
This is an AVNation special, the SCN9, Part 2. This is Tim Albright with AVNation with an AVNation special looking at the SCN, the 9. According to the SCN website, this is the one central theme that they discovered while interviewing this talented group was the power of adaptability. What the 9 is, real quickly, is SCN the last couple of years has taken 9 young AV professionals that have achieved a fairly good level of success and highlighted them. It's a really great group. I have a lot of friends that are in that group in the past and actually this year. So with me today to talk about the 9 and their place in it, first and foremost, my buddy and pal, Miss Haley Klein. Welcome, ma'am.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Also, somebody that I spend an awful lot of time with every February at the PSNI Super Summit is Elizabeth Newton. Welcome, ma'am.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. And a gentleman that I've actually just met through this process, his name is Scott Kelly. And God bless him, he works with Josh Shrego at TCOM. How are you, sir?
Hi, Tim. I'm doing well. Thanks for having me.
Good, absolutely. So let's start with this. Haley, I want to start with you. Haley comes by she works for PSNI by way through Vadio. She came up in the industry through Vadio. So you've been on the manufacturing side, and now you've been on the integration side. When it comes to coming up through the ranks and learning, first of all, learning this industry, but also getting to where you are, what advice would you give to somebody who's just starting out in the AV industry?
Leverage your network, find a mentor within the company. I think that's really what got me involved in all of this. I had a mentor who ironically used to be one of the 9 a couple of years ago, Kelly Perkins. And then I also so she was actually my boss, but I also found a mentor in our VP of engineering at the time, Darren Thurston. So I kind of clung to those people, but there were 2 people that were clearly very passionate about the industry and therefore got me excited about the industry. And I think that really brought me, it turned it from a job to a career. It just made it something I loved.
Absolutely. Elizabeth, you were in a unique position. Elizabeth works for Corey's AV in doing, event production and working directly with clients. That's how I met you was again doing the Super Summit. You work with a diverse group of folks, and I love what Megan Detta from SCN wrote about the adaptability. I watch that every single year because, let's be honest, not every live production goes smoothly. Or as Elizabeth has on her checklist, it doesn't always go that way.
Right.
So what are some of the attributes that you would say that as somebody either just starting out or honestly even kind of developing in their career, some of the attributes that they need to at least develop in themselves?
So for me, and like speaking towards Super Summit specifically, it has come with practice. So the first year that I did Super Summit, I was much more like, face buried in that paper, the checklist going right on par. But then like this last year, I would say is probably the best that it's gone from like my perspective, in that you familiarize yourself with the content, you familiarize yourself with the program, and then you have to be adaptable. You have to fly by the seat of your pants. Sometimes things don't happen. Sometimes someone on a panel isn't there because you're either starting way early or you're starting way late. And so you have to vamp a lot. There's a lot of that. And just being flexible. I think that's a huge part of it. Like you said, live events, they are live. They are not always, you don't get to say cut, let's reset and start again. So you have to figure out what can you do to make it run smoothly and keep a cool, calm, collected head. That's the biggest thing, because when things go wrong in the room, everyone turns around and looks at the tech table, and you have to have your composure if you want to look like you know what you're doing, even if you don't. So I would say, like, for me, the biggest things are practice and preparation, and then having a good poker face. Ooh, look at that, 3 Ps.
Very nice. Very well done.
Hey.
All right, Scott, let's kind of bring you in on this. When it comes to, working in a little bit different environment, I don't know if you can tell or not, but if you're watching the video, Elizabeth is working remotely. Haley works remotely. Scott works in a bullpen, right? Scott works in the office. So,
Mm-hmm.
talk about that dynamic and being somebody who is on the younger scale or at the younger side of the office and stuff that you've able to not only learn from those folks around you, but also to teach them.
Yeah, so I work in a great environment at TCOM. We have a whole bunch of engineers here who are very knowledgeable and have really helped me jumpstart my career in AV. I came straight out of university. I really haven't had another job besides being a design consultant, and so it's kind of great to have this collection of great engineers and mentors at TCOM who can help me understand more about AV and then how to execute a project in a successful manner. I would say that probably the biggest piece of being a design consultant is having a voracious appetite for learning more and more and taking on things that you aren't familiar with. So for me, what helped me get to where I am is volunteering, raising my hand for something that I'd never done before, but then at the same time leaning on my mentors and fellow engineers like Josh, who can help me through that process to make sure that I deliver what I need to in the time scale that's given to me.
Yeah, absolutely. All three of you actually, not oddly, but actually very coolly mentioned mentors and learning from others. I think that's kind of cool. Elizabeth, I want to start with you on this one, and this is for all three of you, and we'll get to each of you in turn. There is almost at this point a running joke, at least in the AV industry and in society at large, where all of these society's ills are put at the feet of, let's call them millennials, because that's what the joke is, right? There was a report, I want to say a week or so ago, about the birth rates or in the U.S. going down, and of course, it's all blame and due to millennials. Yeah, because none of you want to buy houses or have families because you never. I saw that, and of course, people my age were, of course, some of them seriously, some of them jokingly saying, damn millennials, and it's like I am tired of it, and I'm Gen X, right? And I look at this going, you know what? It's not so much. It's not a generational thing. It's there are really really talented people, which is actually why I love the fact that SCN started doing this a couple of years ago. Some really really talented folks in this industry. I don't care how old you are, right? So with that context of society in general and even in the AV industry, where we kind of put people into a box and into a category. Talk for a second about being somebody who sometimes gets put into that category that doesn't always fit, and how you kind of work through that, in your job specifically on a day-to-day basis, but also in the industry.
Sure. So I would say, I mean, obviously everyone knows like the millennial jokes, but I feel like I pretty much ignore it, honestly, because I maybe it's because I just really feel like it doesn't apply to me. So I'm like, maybe I don't fit in that mold, or I also think that I think millennials are misunderstood, or I think what it is about us that people point out and make fun of is, if you flip the coin, it's actually something that makes us awesome and makes us really hard workers. Like for me, one of the things I know is like people are like, oh, well, millennials just like want to like the easy way, or they don't want to have to work very hard, or they don't want to like be behind a desk. Well, that's 100% true. I don't want to be behind my desk. I love being on site with clients, having that relationship with them, servicing them, doing whatever I can do to make their lives easier. So, and I can do that better if I'm face to face with them on a job site, helping out, not just behind my computer doing, emails and CRM and all that kind of stuff. So for me, I kind of just ignore it, which I don't know if that's a helpful answer, but I have found what my contribution is to the company and the industry and my specific role. And I own that. Like that is one of my selling points when I'm talking to clients, when they're working with us or trying to decide if they're going to use us, like this is what you're going to get. And it's some of my best qualities. And I think that goes a long way. And I will also say this, I have a boss who is to the point now where he is a champion for millennials. So when people make comments about millennials, he's quick to say, well, my millennials are my best employees. And so I think that helps too with like the culture. And maybe that's why I'm able to just kind of ignore it, because it doesn't exist within our company. If anything, we are praised for our work ethic and what we bring to the company and the energy and the vitality that we bring.
That's pretty awesome. Yeah, that's pretty awesome. Scott, same kind of question, is working in that environment, and again, both from a societal standpoint as also as a workplace standpoint. How do you take, like Elizabeth said, and take that and make that a strength, not necessarily a knock?
I think for millennials in the AV industry, especially in kind of the design side of things, one of the things that I've always enjoyed about working with millennials like myself is that we are willing to take on things that we haven't had experience with before. This kind of goes back to what I had said earlier, but we have a strong team of millennials at my company, and they will take things and spin them around to make them something that is a great product or a great design. One way that I've often seen that people in the AV industry or contractors or clients or what have you may look at a millennial on the design team or part of the project team as someone who is inexperienced. But I think really what that is not so much an inexperience, but you can flip that, like Elizabeth has said, on its head and actually just bring a fresh take to things. Think about something in a different way. The AV industry is in a lot of ways rooted in doing the same thing over and over and over again. And I think as millennials, we're trying to break that mold, break out of that pattern and out of that habit, and try to do something that maybe hasn't been done before. Take a design or a challenge that you would have solved one way 10 years ago, and think about how maybe new technologies that have come around in the last couple of years can be used to provide a different solution, maybe in a better way, and add value to the problem. So I think that's kind of part of what the millennials bring to the table.
I like that. All right, Haley, you'll have the last word on this. Haley is in a not a unique position, but I would say from a cultural and a generational position, dealing not only with PSNI and their members, but also now that PSNI is starting to reach out across globally, cultural differences as well. So you've got generational differences and cultural differences, right? So how do you kind of manage that from where you are?
Yeah, I mean, just building off of what Scott and Elizabeth said, I think pushing a work ethic, I think the whole idea behind millennials, I think it pushes a millennial to work harder to prove that they have a seat at the table. I know oftentimes it's kind of where I'm at. I work with a lot of owners and a lot of CEOs and executives, and so therefore I kind of have to prove myself, because usually it's like, oh, she's a young blonde girl, and what's the point? So proving yourself a little bit, preparing yourself a little bit more. I know, sorry. Just I think proving yourself at the table, surrounding yourself with people who empower you rather than belittle you, and just again proving your seat at the table.
I like that. All right, Scott, we'll start with you on this. What if you had any advice for the folks coming up behind you and maybe next year's the 9 list? What would you give them?
I would think that, and this kind of goes back to the first answer that I was discussing a little earlier. The biggest thing for me that helped jumpstart my career was raising my hand when there was something that needed to be done that, maybe I didn't have experience doing. And for me, that's the only way I learned. And I think millennials like myself are kind of like that. We need to learn via experience. A lot of us come from an educational background where you get lectured at, and then you take tests, and then you go out into the real world without any practical experience. And I think part of becoming a great AV professional is taking on tasks that you don't know, taking on things that you may be uncomfortable with. Push yourself outside of the comfort zone so that you learn where you might make mistakes, and you have to make those mistakes in order to grow. And so I think you have to not be afraid of making mistakes, and raise your hand to volunteer to do something that you may not be familiar with.
Yeah,
That would be my advice.
Haley, if you wanted to give advice to your fellow group of either the 9 or those that are around you that are coming up in this industry, if you're looking to become a mentor, or you see somebody that's coming up behind you that you want to mentor, what are you looking for when it comes to either being a mentor or being a mentee, I guess is the best way to put that.
Yeah, I think so. Somebody who's very heavily involved in different, whether it be organizations, whether it be foundations, whatever that may be, finding somebody who's clearly passionate about what they're doing, whatever that may be. I think that's what I'm automatically drawn to. Finding somebody who's not afraid to have a little bit of fun with it. It's what gets people excited. And I truly believe that our industry is so unique because so many people are willing to raise their hand. It's a very open community. It's, get involved on social media for a minute and you'll have 100 AV tweets welcoming you because that's just the community we've built at this point. So I think getting very, very connected with people, not, showing up to any show that your boss will allow you to as a mentor or as a boss, bringing your interns or early people into your, your new hires into a trade show, big or small, just so that they can be exposed to that world a little bit more. Any kind of community involvement they can get into, it gets you excited about the industry, and I think therefore really draws people into it. So I think that makes a fantastic mentor, somebody who's very passionate.
That works. All right, Elizabeth, last word here. What does it mean either to, both to be on this list as well and to be recognized by your peers and by somebody like SCN, to be put on this list with this great group of folks?
It was, to say a huge honor feels like an understatement. I was shocked, and Haley is actually the one that was like, hey, check your email. There's something you need to be responding to. It had popped into my spam folder. So then when I saw it, I was like, oh my gosh. So it was incredibly honoring, but it was also a really cool opportunity for me to get to meet people in the industry. Like Haley kind of alluded to it, but ever since the list has come out, I have literally 40 Twitter notifications almost at all times. And the way that the industry has just celebrated us and the community that we now have within our group, but then also I've started interacting with other people in the industry just via being named to this list. And so it has broadened my horizons, which is really cool because I think it's so easy, especially in what I do with live events. We are so tunnel vision on making our live events happen for our clients that my world is basically, my client list and my show list, my upcoming shows. And like I said, when I'm at PSNI, I interact with the people that come back to the tech table. It's not that I'm getting to get out there and network as much. And so this has been really exciting for me to get to read about other people and see what they're doing and then get to share a little bit of what I'm doing. Because I think what I do with live events is a little unique. And so that's exciting to get to share that. But at the beginning, it was an honor to be named to the list, just to be recognized for what I have done, what I do. But the long-term reach of it is so awesome. And that now I've got this group of people that I'm I don't really know them, but I feel like I do. And we're going to hang out and I get to learn from them. I get to learn from other people's experiences. One of Chase's answers, I was so glad you didn't ask me to go after him because I was that answer was fantastic. I don't want to, have to follow that. So anyway, it's been really great to learn from everyone. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Just so we read the list and because there are some people we couldn't connect with on this. Dan Barron, Alicia Henley, which we interviewed her and Luke Jordan on another one of these. Scott Kelly, Haley Klein, Kaleoli, Chase McLeod, and Elizabeth Newton, and Emil Van de Covering. All of those folks are on the 9. Thank you, 3 of the 9 so much. Haley Klein from PSNI, how do people find you if they are so willing to do so?
You can find us at PSNI_Haley. You can do PSNI_AV on Twitter, or you can find us on our website at psni.org.
All right, very good. And again, they have gone global, as they say, as the kids say, gone global. Good Lord, 25 or 30 new around the world now. So not around the world, 25 international ones outside of the U.S. I have to say that correctly. So
yes,
Mr. Scott,
25 already.
Huh?
Oh, nothing.
Oh, Lord. All right. Mr. Scott Kelly, thank you, sir. How do people find you and or TCOM?
Sure. If you want to find TCOM, you can find them at tcom.com. If you want to find me, I recently created a Twitter handle because I realized I probably can't show up to the AV Tweet Up without a Twitter handle. So you can find me at _SD Kelly.
Okay, well, just for the record, you can show up to the Tweet Up without a handle.
I felt it would be poor form.
Don't
So
just like sit in a circle.
Poor form. You can do it, yes. You would not be the first nor the last. Although for the first couple of years, Chris Miller and I showed up, and he didn't have a Twitter handle. I just want to point out. He does now, though.
True.
Thanks to Haley, he does now.
He does. He does.
Again, thanks to
Well,
Haley.
I was gonna say, and speaking of Twitter, I realized I said Chase earlier and not Scott because Chase did a tweet that just popped up on my phone like while I was talking. So I saw Chase's name and I was like, I meant following Scott's answer. I did not want to have to follow that. But anyway.
So, Ms. Newton, how do people find you on the Twitter or Corey's?
You can follow Corey's on Twitter at CORYAV. Corey AV. We are CoreyAV.com as well. And my personal Twitter is Eliz Newton. So hopping back on the Twitter now that SC and the 9 has become such a thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Also, I just said the Twitter. Does that make me not a millennial?
It makes you a Gen Xer or older, yes.
No.
Okay,
that's
cool.
okay.
Awesome.
I call it the Twitter too.
Yeah. As long as you don't say the internet.
Yeah, us
And-
too.
Yeah.
How do I do a tweet?
Beyond into so, which is the generation beyond me. Just want to make sure that that's clear. And they still exist. Yes, damn baby boomers. All right, my name is Paul. On the Twitters, but go by the website if you would please, avnation.tv. avnation.tv. You will find this program and a host of others. Scott mentioned it, so why the heck not? We're going to be at InfoComm, and the first day of InfoComm, come by at the AVNation. AV Tweeps Tweet Up 4 to 6 on Wednesday in our studio, N as in Nancy, 217. It's a room, not the North Hall. It's a room up the escalator, and you hang it right and come by and grab some food and drink. So thanks to our buddies at Staren Marketing for making that happen. But yeah, all that and all of the InfoComm coverage that we'll be giving you the next couple of weeks. So avnation.tv, avnation.tv.